When we think of sin, I believe most people think of obvious, tangible things, whether it's alcoholism or gambling or adultery, immorality. In the garden, which we learn about Adam and Eve, the very first humans, however you feel about that story, we learn that Adam and Eve didn't just disobey God's commands. They didn't just disobey the way that they were made. In turning away from God's perfection, in turning away from a relationship with God, Adam and Eve were disconnected. So I would say sin is not just a disobedience to God's commands or to God himself or to the way that we were designed, but sin is also a disconnection from the perfect glory and love that we once had. And ever since in the Garden of Eden, we've been looking for God in things that are not God, whether that's in ourselves, in reputation, in beauty, in image, in material things, in relationships. Everywhere that we've been looking, it's the long story of man trying to find identity apart from God. And so sin is not just I've heard it defined as cosmic treason against God, or it's some kind of active rebellion against him. It's not always that. I think it is that, but that's not a complete picture of what sin is. I think sin is almost a sickness in which when you're disconnected from the source that you're supposed to live for and be plugged into, you try to find other things to plug into to feel life, to feel alive, to feel like my life has purpose, meaning I have significance. And so sin is our constantly trying to get back to where we were before. I've heard Donald Miller say, all of us are clawing for Eden. We're all trying to get back there to that perfection that we once had, where the earth and the universe, it was perfectly aligned, but our disobedience caused a disconnection, which caused like a domino effect, so that everything became sort of misaligned and sort of messed up. And so the story of sin is so important in that we know something is wrong on the earth. We look around, we read the news, we read the headlines, we go on the internet, we know something is messed up. We know that when we see people on reality shows, we cringe. We kind of look at a reality show and go, oh my gosh, how could that person say that or do that? But then we don't turn that critical eye on ourselves and realize we're the same as those people in the reality show. We all have this desperate race of validation, looking for perfection again. I think sin is really important in the story of humanity to recognize, because when you see that something is wrong, that means that there has to be something that's right. Our deep despair and our deep flaw and shortcomings point to a great hope. It actually, when we see everything is wrong, our hearts say, this is not how it should be. There's actually, we want the setting right of the universe. We want order out of disorder. We realize, you know what, we are supposed to have someone that constantly validates us and says, well done. There's some source out there where we will feel perfect and not itchy inside and not falling short. And so sin is that disconnection, and I think that points us to a place where there is perfection, where our thirst will be quenched and satisfied.